this one I haven't picked up in forever, and Either Or, which I did just read a little bit of, but I've got to be in the right mood. I say that again and again. I feel like I have to have no time crunch and just to sit down and just read that, but I'm not fortunate for that at the minute. So we're going to read a chapter of this, the Spoke Zarathustra, I think. Pronunciation is not a strong suit of mine, neither is reading aloud, so that's why I am doing this. This is The Homecoming. I picked up this chapter maybe 5 times, but I haven't finished it. So, here we go. For solitude, solitude, my home. I have lived too long, wildly, in wild, strange lands to come home to you without tears. Now shake your finger at me, as mothers do. Now smile at me, at mother's smile. Now say merely, and who was it that once stormed away from me like a storm wind? Who departing cried, I've sat too long with solitude. I've unlearned how to be silent. You've surely learned that now. O Zarathustra, I know, and that you were lonelier. I know all, and that you were lonelier among the crowd, you solitary, than ever you were with me. Loneliness is one thing, solitude another. You have learned that now, and that among men you will always be wild and strange even when they love you, for above all they want to be indulged. But here you are at your own hearth and home. Here you can utter everything and pour out every reason. Nothing here is ashamed of hidden hardened feelings. Here all the things come caressingly to your discourse and flatter you, for they want to ride upon your back. From every image you ride here, for every image you ride to every truth. Here you may speak to all things straight and true, and truly it sounds as praise to the ears that someone should speak with all things honestly. But it is another thing to be lonely, for do you remember, O Zarathustra, once your bird cried above you, you stood in the forest, undecided, ignorant where to go, beside a corpse. When you said, may my animals lead me, I found it more dangerous among men than among animals. That was loneliness. Do you remember, O Zarathustra, when you sat upon your island, a well of wine among empty buckets, giving and distributing, bestowing and outpouring among the thirsty, until at last you sat alone, thirsty, among the intoxicated, and lamented each night, it is not more blessed to receive than to give. Is it not more blessed to receive than to give? Zarathustra, when your stillest hour came and tore you forth from yourself, when it said in an evil whisper, speak and break, when it made you repent all your wanting in silence and discourage your humble courage, that was loneliness. O solitude, solitude, my home, how blissfully and tenderly does your voice speak to me. We do not question one another, we do not complain to one another, we go openly together through open doors, for with you is all open and clear, and here, even in the hours, run on lighter feet, for time weighs down more heavily in the dark than in the light. Here, the words and word chest of all existence spring open to me. All existence here wants to become words. All becoming here wants to learn speech from me. Down here, however, all speech is in vain. There, the best wisdom is to forget and pass by. I have learnt that now. He who wants to understand all things among men has to touch all things, but my hands are too clean for that. I even dislike to breathe in their breath, alas, that I lived so long among their nose and bad breath. O blissful stillness around me, O pure odours around me, how the stillness draws pure breath from a deep breast. Oh, how it listens, this blissful stillness. But down here, everything speaks, everything is unheard. One may ring in one's wisdom with bowels. The shopkeeper in the marketplace will outring it with pennies. Everything among them speaks. No one knows any longer understand. Everything falls away into failure, nothing falls any longer into deep wells. Everything among them speaks, nothing prospers and comes to an end any longer. Everything crackles, but who still wants to sit upon the nest and hatch eggs? Everything among them speaks, everything is talked down, and what yesterday was still too hard for time itself, its teeth today hangs chewed and picked from the mouth of the men of today. Everything among them speaks, everything is betrayed, and what was once called a secret and a secrecy of profound souls today belongs to the street trumpets and other butterflies. For humankind, you strange thing, you noise in dark streets. Now again you lie behind me. My greatest danger lies behind me. My greatest danger always lay in indulgence and sufferance, and all humankind wants to be indulged and suffered. With truth held back, with foolish hand and foolish fond heart enriched in pity's little lies, that is how I used to live among men. I sat among them disgusted, ready to misunderstand myself, so that I might endure them, and glad to tell myself, you fool, you do not know men. It's like a freaking, the way I'm reading is like a Dr. Seuss book. One forgets what one has learned about men when one lives among men. There is too much foreground in all men. What can far-seeing eyes do there? And when they misunderstand me, I, like a fool, indulged them more than I did myself. For I was accustomed to being hard with myself, and often even taking revenge on myself for this indulgence. Stung by poisonous flies and hollowed out like a stone by many drops of wickedness, that is how I sat among them, and still told myself, everything small is innocent of all its smallness, especially those who call themselves the good. Did I discover to be the most poisonous flies, they sting all innocence. How could they be just towards me? Pity teaches him how to live among the good. Pity makes the ear stifling for all free souls, for the stupidity of good is unfathomable. To conceal myself and my riches, that did I learn down there, for I found everybody still poor in spirit. It was my pity's lie that I knew with everybody, that I saw and scented in everybody, that what was sufficient spirit for him, and what was too much spirit for him. The pedantic wise men, I called them wise, not pedantic. Thus I learned to slur words. The grave diggers, I called them investigators and scholars. Thus I learned to confound words. Grave diggers dig diseases for themselves. Evil vapours repose beneath old rubble. One should not stir up the bog. One should live upon mountains. With happy nostrils I breathe again mountain freedom, and at last my nose is delivered from the odour of all humankind. My soul, tickled by sharp breezes, as with sparkling wine, sneezes and cries to itself, bless you. So that's the homecoming. So, the unpacking of that chapter will have to wait. But it's an interesting thing for me to read about solitude and for solitude. I think in books that I've read previously, when they talk about solitude, it's mostly a self-help sort of perspective, and that solitude is a bad thing, which to some extent I agree with, but I am a person who is always in solitude. So the self-help sort of aspect of it, where we're with physical beings, we need other physicality, we need other people. Our humanity relies on our interactions with other people. So I agree with solitude being bad in that element, but also in the element of, my greatest danger always lay in indulgence and sufferance, and all humankind wants to be indulged and suffered, which is true. It's so much easier to indulge in things when you are out into the world with other people. And I think the key lies in finding the people who have also learned how to live in their solitude. Like, that is the ultimate. You want people who know how to be in solitude and who are okay in silence and who know themselves just a fraction to where they don't feel like they need to go out with another person, with you, and do these things that are going to be overindulgent or self-harming. So that's my very brief takeaway from that chapter. School time.